History is written not by conquerors, but in the silence of the silent. How can a brilliant civilization be plunged into silence overnight? A city where life flows incessantly through the streets, warehouses are filled with goods, and children's voices mingle with the murmur of fountains. And then, everything stops. What remains for thousands of years is only dust scattered by the wind and a deep, overwhelming silence. Mohenjo-daro, established about 4,500 years ago in the fertile plains of the Indus River, and whose name means Mound of the Dead, embodies such a mystery. So, why was this great city suddenly abandoned? Where did its people go? Did they leave behind nothing but dozens of skeletons, hundreds of unanswered questions, and thousands of seals that never spoke? Those who pursued these questions encountered an unusual silence when they first touched the ruins. Unlike the pharaohs of Egypt or the kings of Mesopotamia, these people had not inscribed their victories and gods on colossal monuments. Instead, what was found were grid-planned, orderly streets, the world's earliest comprehensive sewage system, communal baths, and housing blocks made of standardized bricks. This arrangement gave the impression of an almost modern welfare state that prioritized functionality and collective well-being over grandeur. Deepening this silence was an undeciphered script, symbols composed of 400 to 450 different signs on approximately 4,000 seals found in the city. Whether this script was an alphabet, a syllabary, or a completely different system remains unknown, and this silence stands as the greatest barrier to understanding the civilization's inner workings. So, who governed such an advanced society? A king, priest, or a secular council like today? Interestingly, the city's order and spirit bear more resemblance to the Minoan civilization of Crete than to other ancient societies. Both civilizations prioritized functional urban planning, advanced water and sewage systems, and a peaceful, trade-centered lifestyle over monumental architecture. Both collapsed suddenly and mysteriously. This similarity shows that Mohenjo-daro was not a unique, exceptional civilization, but the product of a life model emerging under certain conditions. This silent civilization thrived brilliantly for about 600 years. The city housed nearly 40,000 people and had a vast trade network extending to Mesopotamia. However, around 1900 BCE, shadows began to lengthen. Archaeological layers showed early signs of decline. Makeshift structures were built over previously well-maintained broad streets. High-quality ceramic production decreased and trade shrank. This gradual decay suggested internal problems without external invasion. Factors like climate change, droughts hampering agriculture, or shifts in the Indus River's course might have eroded the economic foundation. Even more crucially, the disruption of long-distance trade had dried up one of the city's lifelines. Yet this process alone could not explain the final, sudden end. The city's final scene, skeletons in the streets. This ultimate end revealed itself through findings in the city's upper layers. Excavations uncovered about 44 human skeletons, scattered and in groups at different locations. What did these last skeletons signify? Why had they not been properly buried? Some lay together on a street corner, others seemed to have died suddenly inside a room. The most striking was a skeleton of a man with a deep wound on his skull, alongside a woman and child near a well. This discovery led early excavators to theorize that the city was destroyed by an Aryan invasion. According to this theory, horseback warrior tribes from the north had burned and slaughtered the city's inhabitants. However, this theory had serious scientific flaws. 44 skeletons were insufficient evidence for a mass slaughter. The skeletons showed no widespread signs of battle, and there was no layer of widespread fire or destruction in the city. Additionally, it became clear that other Indus cities like Harappa were abandoned at different times and for various reasons. This pointed to a more complex and widespread collapse, rather than a single simultaneous military conquest. So, who were these skeletons? Nature's revenge, flood, salinization, and epidemics. The answer began to be sought in nature itself. Researchers turned their eyes to the Indus River, the city's source of life and potential executioner. Geological studies revealed that Mohenjo-daro had endured several devastating floods throughout its history. Thick silt layers in the upper strata gave rise to the Great Flood theory. Severe monsoons or a landslide in the Himalayas could have caused the river to overflow, burying the city under meters of water and mud. Some researchers suggest that the scale of these floods might have been similar to the catastrophic 2010 Pakistan floods, which killed 2,000 people and displaced millions. This destroyed granaries, infrastructure, and farmland, followed by epidemics. The skeletons in the streets could have been victims who failed to escape the floods or succumbed to diseases such as cholera or malaria. Survivors likely lacked the strength to bury the dead. However, flood alone could not explain everything. Another strong theory points to soil salinization. Centuries of intensive farming with poor drainage might have caused salt to rise to the soil surface, gradually turning fertile land into barren desert. As food production collapsed, the city slowly starved, and the floods accelerated this fatal process. This was less an abrupt disaster than a slow but sure drowning. A cross-border speculation, atomic catastrophe, and its reflections in popular culture. Alongside all these scientific theories, the most extraordinary and controversial explanation emerged in the 1970s. Mohenjo-daro fell victim to an ancient nuclear explosion. This claim was based on vitrified stones found in the city center, some bricks that appeared melted, and descriptions of aerial battles involving Vimanas flying machines in Vedic texts. However, the scientific community largely rejected this theory. The melted stones were likely furnace slag, radiation claims were unconfirmed, and the texts were recognized as mythological stories unsuitable as historical evidence. This mystery has also made Mohenjo-daro a focal point in popular culture. The best-known example is the 2016 Bollywood film Mohenjo-daro, which narrates a fictional love and power story set during the city's final days. In the documentary world, BBC series like Lost Worlds explore the city's mystery through scientific theories. Moreover, the city's atmosphere and enigma have found echoes in fantasy literature and gaming. For instance, American author P. Djeli Clark uses planned and magical ancient city images inspired by Mohenjo-daro in works such as The Dead Cattail Assassins. The strategy game giant Civilization includes the Indus Valley Civilization as a playable faction, with players attempting to preserve its legacy by founding Harappa or Mohenjo-daro. Even some indie video games treat the city's abandonment as a puzzle or mystery, piecing it together, a multi-disaster scenario. Today, most scientists attribute the collapse not to a single cause, but to a chain of disasters. The scenario may have unfolded as follows. Climate change weakened agriculture and caused soil salinization. Economic decline disrupted social order. At this fragile moment, the Indus River flooded. A devastating flood swept away infrastructure and remaining hopes. Subsequent epidemics consumed the survivors. The city was buried in history by a slow collapse punctuated by a sudden, definitive blow. This chronological flow can be summarized as: the city experienced a golden age between 250–01900 BCE, followed by a slow decline from 1900–1800 BCE due to climate change, salinization, and diminished trade. Around 1800 BCE, a probable great flood and epidemics delivered the final blow, leading to complete abandonment and no resettlement on the same scale. Was the destruction sudden or a slow collapse spanning centuries? The answer is both. The collapse was a slow process over centuries, but the final blow was relatively sudden and decisive. Survivors likely dispersed into small villages or migrated to more hospitable regions. A silent warning, a threat from the past and present. Mohenjo-daro's true legacy is a warning. This silent city proves how even the most advanced urban planning and engineering can become fragile when harmony with nature is broken, facing climate change and environmental degradation. Moreover, this warning has not been left in the past. Today, Mohenjo-daro is on UNESCO's World Heritage in Danger list. The reasons are rising groundwater and ongoing salinization threats, the very problems that may have caused its ancient collapse. The silent streets frozen in time hold not only a few individuals, but the silent cry of an entire civilization and perhaps its descendants who failed to heed the warning. The chain of disasters model indicates a valid risk not only for the ancients, but also for modern cities struggling with the climate crisis. The mystery of Mohenjo-daro is more than a curiosity about the past. It is a profound inquiry into sustainability and the fate of civilizations today. Thank you for this fascinating and in-depth narrative. Exploring the mystery and silence of Mohenjo-daro is vital for understanding how civilizations have formed and fallen throughout history. If you are intrigued by the secrets of this unique ancient city, please remember to like, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. History is written in the silence of the silent. Let us listen to this silence together.